Never overlook the power of simplicity. Robin S. Sharma. My friends, you hear us talk about it all the time. Occam's razor, that is the simplicity principle. Make things as simple as possible, as Einstein added to that, but not more simple. In other words, do it smart. Reduce, economize where and when it makes sense. And of course, you see our charts, super simple. Bollinger Bands, Heikin-Ashi candlesticks, derivative oscillator, price percent oscillator. That's about it. Throw in some trend lines and vertical crossovers, and we're good to go. Let's talk about what's going on. What did I tell you yesterday? When everything was hammering down, I said, hey, be on the lookout that things will probably pop back up for no good reason, just like we saw as we look back on the charts. As things have inexorably moved down, we can see a week or two in here where things slowed up in the down move. That, of course, consisted of a day or two during those weeks, maybe more than that, maybe 3 days, where things moved up. And then, of course, rolling back over again. Has the world changed? No, the market will take profits. How do they take profits? Well, they knock out the shorts and they clear them and they make their money, and then they drive things back down again. The beautiful thing, though, my friends, don't lose heart. No matter how crazy the world gets, we can still chart these markets. It's beautiful. This has been some of my best time trading as things have just pounded down. I have enjoyed myself immensely in put options. Now, let's jump into these charts. We see it's a big up day for the S&P and the NASDAQ 100, but we still have a down week, don't we? That price percent oscillator still heading down, derivative oscillator losing some downward momentum, but quite red. What about the 2-day? Green spinning top at this point, price percent oscillator negative, heading up, derivative oscillator still negative. Could things bottom out here? It's possible they might for a while. We'll keep our eye on things. We see on the half day up in the morning, further up in the afternoon, crossing over, going up. In the afternoon, we'll redraw a weak little trend line here, and we'll put that on there, see where that takes us. So a pull up, we would say. I guess I'd call it a pull back if it was heading down, a pull up if things are heading down and then pop up. That's what we see happening today. We'll see how long that goes on. But again, where's the weight? Still down on the weekly, still down on the 2-day. What about the NASDAQ 100? It's down, of course, a considerable bit more than the S&P. These are the tech stocks. And what do we see going on there? Up for the day, 3.14%. Still a big red down candle. Price percent oscillator stroking down. Derivative oscillator quite negative, losing a little bit of downward momentum. We look at the 2-day. We can see the price percent oscillator is a little more than flat, still quite negative. Derivative oscillator losing some downward momentum, still negative. Red down candle forming nonetheless. Half day. Did it end up crossing over at the end of the day? Nope, it's laminated. So up in the morning, further up in the afternoon. That's where we are on stocks. Overall mood of the market, still heavy on the downside. What about 20-year bonds? Down for the day, 0.17%. Big stroking red down candle heading down. Price percent oscillator, derivative oscillator on that weekly chart. 2 days into a 5-day candle. On the 2-day chart, of course, we are 1 day into the latest 2-day candle that will finish drawing on Wednesday. Derivative oscillator still barely green. Price percent oscillator heading down on the 2-day. We look at the half day. We can see where things a little slow in the morning and then popped down in the afternoon a little bit. Not much, but still lots of downward weight in every time frame on the 20-year bonds. So again, those of you who jumped in to that 2-day recross, again, things are looking okay at this point. What about gold? Man, gold hammering down 1.87%. I had an excellent trade in gold last week. I missed that last big bump up, but I caught plenty, and it was beautiful. What do we see going on as far as this week shapes up? Went from, booming up to that most recent high all the way up to 193.30. I think we looked back a ways, and 194 something was the prior high on GLD. But we have a red spinning top for this week. Solid red price percent oscillator has lost that, just cranking up. It has now gone flat on us. The derivative oscillator still positive, losing some momentum. 2-day heading down, stroking down quite strong. Big red down candle forming with all of that loss of today. We'll see that candle finish forming tomorrow. And of course, getting right down there as far as the wick goes to that trend line on the weekly chart. Price percent oscillator heading down, derivative oscillator positive. Ooh, actually trying to cross over into the red. It just totally burned out. And what do we see going on the half day? Of course, we've seen this move. It has accelerated, particularly over the course of this last day. Really so much in the morning, not quite as much in the afternoon, but lots of downward pressure there. In the short term, again, overall, don't have a crossover yet on that 2-day, and that weekly is still up. So gold seeing some weakening. We'll see if it indeed can hang on. Beautiful thing, though, is what happens if indeed it crosses over going down, then it potentially sets you up to be able to jump back into a 2-day recross, because this last one was awfully good to you, was it not? It absolutely was. So, lastly, we will move to Bitcoin. What do we see going on with Bitcoin? Well, depending on where we look, if we look at Grayscale Bitcoin, we see it's recording 3.70% up for the day. If we go to the Bitcoin futures, 2.59 on BITO, 2.45 on BTF, and 2.36 on XBTF. And as I've told you guys, my recent trades have been on XBTF. It is the VanEck Bitcoin Strategy ETF, and it is a futures ETF on Bitcoin. It's done me quite well, and it's easy to trade. Unlike Grayscale Bitcoin, which is a trust, this is actually an ETF. Is it perfect? Is it Bitcoin? It's a Bitcoin future. Just saw that the SEC apparently rejected some potential Bitcoin ETFs. I guess they'll still be working on the details on that, and at some point maybe we'll see that come along. In the meantime, give it a try. Do some practice trading on something like XBTF, BTF, or BITO. See how that works for you. See if you like it. You may agree with me. You may not. It doesn't cost you anything to practice trade. Give it a shot. What do we see as far as Bitcoin for this week? Well, we see things again continuing to slide along sideways. Price percent oscillator still negative. Derivative oscillator continuing to lose downward momentum. Red down candle forming for the week 2-day. Same kind of thing, red down candle. Maybe we're getting a base somewhere in here. You can see where things are resting on that 200. See that chartreuse purpley line right there? Well, that is our 200 period exponential moving average. Bitcoin sitting right there on it. If it falls below it, stays below it, that's going to tell us something. If it bounces off that and starts heading up, that might be telling us we're getting into the green. Now that is the 200 period moving average line on the 2-day chart. Where are we as far as we're well above the 200 period moving average line, exponential moving average line on the weekly. So again, we're still positive as far as the price percent oscillator and derivative oscillator go. What we're waiting for is that weekly vertical crossover. We can see on the half-day chart we are negative. Things have just sort of settled right in there in that right around that $39,000 mark. So we'll see. Maybe that'll cross over going up. With it, we'll see that 2-day pull away from the red signal line, and we'll finally see that weekly vertical crossover. You can look back in time and see how well Those prior weekly vertical crossovers going up have been for us, and I'm waiting for the next one. That's where we are, folks, as we end the day on Tuesday, go into Wednesday, the 16th of March. Thank you so much for being with us. We always love to hear from you. Hope you're enjoying those training zone average true range and the success method that we put out for you guys. Check out those latest videos. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.